one of our main rivals in the Dutch competition. If you look closely at the whiteboard, you can still see the arrows they scribbled onto it during half time, during the match. It didn't help, we won 5-0. So there you go. But what is your first impression of this room? Do you like it? Do you think it's nice? It looks nice? Yeah, you said yes? I think it looks quite boring. And I promise you, this is the most boring room in the stadium. It's only upwards from here, I promise. Swear to you. But they made the opponent's players for the first time before the game. So I briefly mentioned that the intimidation process starts in the dressing room, right? So imagine you're a player on the visiting team. You just spent an hour in that dressing room, not super comfortable. Then you walked through the hallway with all the legendary Ajax players staring at you like, what are you even doing here? And then as you're waiting to go out onto the pitch, you're here standing looking at all the prizes and trophies that Ajax has won over the years. Now, if I were on the visiting team, I would be terrified, but I'm an Ajax fan, so this room makes me very, very happy. Because Ajax is statistically, this is not just my opinion, statistically Ajax is the best team in the Netherlands. We've won the Dutch league 35 times. That's almost as many times as our two main rivals, PSV and Feyenoord, combined. PSV has 24 titles, Feyenoord has 15. We have 35. That makes up probably the reason why you bought a ticket to do the tour, right? To see this view. I think that's the answer I get from most people. The stadium itself has a capacity of 55,000 people for a football game. For a concert, it's 60 to 70,000, depending on where the stage is, depending on the layout. The stadium itself is quite modern. It's only 25 years old, so it was built in 1996. And when it was built, it was the first stadium in Europe with a roof that could close. Nowadays there are more stadiums with a roof like that, but this was the very first one in Europe. Back then, in the early days, it took an hour and a half to fully close it. Nowadays it only takes 20 minutes, so technology has improved since then. And if you look at the pitch for a second, it looks nice. I mean, I'm not an expert, but I think it looks very nice. We take very, very good care of the pitch. Almost 24/7 we have people working on it to keep it in perfect condition. That's why we put the lights on it, to replace the sunlight. Because with the way that the stadium is built, it's quite closed. The structure is quite closed. So most of the pitch is constantly in the shade. So for that reason, we have to use artificial light to replace the natural sunlight. We also have wind machines, that's the grey things, the grey machines on wheels, to blow wind over the grass to help it grow better. And sprinkling systems, of course, to keep everything well hydrated. Over there we have the away section. That's where the fans of the visiting team sit. So normally for a Dutch competition game, the capacity is about 2,000. But if we play a Champions League or Euro...
That's what you do.
slightly different. This is more of an oval, and the other was a rectangle, but they're exactly the same size. So the main difference is the atmosphere, and some small details like the TV, you may have noticed. The other room also has a TV, but it's one of those TVs on wheels, you know, like a elementary school type situation. It also works, but it looks less fancy. Another small detail, this dressing room has lockers. Because when Ajax plays an away game, they come here first and they get changed and then they get on the bus. But during the day, loads of people walk through this dressing room, so they have to make sure to keep their things safe in one of their lockers. So their personal belongings like wallets or car keys or anything, they can put them over there. You may have noticed, if you've looked around the corner over there, this room has recovery baths. They kind of look like jacuzzis for the Ajax players. The other room also has them, but they look like trash cans. They work exactly the same, but you know, like I said, it's all a matter.
Foto pra cabeça.